I smoothed my hand over my swollen belly, feeling the baby kick as I stared out the window of my childhood bedroom. How had I ended up back here, 8 months pregnant and living with my parents? Nora? You in there? Clara's soft voice called from the hallway. Come in, I replied, turning to face the door as my sister-in-law entered. Clara's kind face creased with concern as she took in my dejected posture. How are you feeling today? I attempted a smile, but it felt forced. Oh, huge, uncomfortable, and completely unprepared to be a mother. Clara chuckled, settling herself on the edge of my bed. I remember that feeling, but trust me, you're going to be an amazing mom. I wish I had your confidence, I sighed, joining her on the bed. It's just, this isn't how I pictured things, I should be setting up the nursery with Ethan, not camping out in my old room. Clara's expression darkened at the mention of my husband's name. Have you heard from him? I shook my head. Not since last week. He said he was too busy to come to the doctor's appointment. That man, Clara muttered, her usually gentle demeanor slipping for a moment. I'm sorry, Nora. You deserve better. How's Mrs. Becky doing? I asked, eager to change the subject. Clara's face softened. She's having a good day. Asked about you this morning, actually. I felt a pang of guilt. I should go see her. It's just hard sometimes, the way she looks at me. I know, Clara said, patting my hand, but she does care about you in her own way. A sharp knock at the door interrupted us. My mother's voice called out, Nora, Ethan's on the phone for you. I exchanged a look with Clara, my heart suddenly racing. I should take that, I said, pushing myself to my feet with some effort. Clara nodded, standing as well. I'll go check on Mrs. Becky, but Nora? She caught my arm as I passed. Remember, you're stronger than you think. I gave her a grateful smile before heading downstairs to the kitchen, where my mother held out the cordless phone with a worried expression. Hello? I said, bracing myself for whatever was coming. Nora. Ethan's voice was clipped, businesslike. We need to talk about the house. I frowned, confused. What about the house? I've decided to sell it, he said matter-of-factly. It's too big for just me, and with the baby coming... Wait, what? I interrupted, my voice rising. Ethan, that's our home. Where am I supposed to live with the baby? There was a pause on the other end of the line. When Ethan spoke again, his tone was cold. I thought you were comfortable at your parents'. Isn't that why you left? I felt like I'd been slapped. I left because you told me to. You said you needed space, that it was just temporary. Well, things change, Ethan cut me off. I'll have my lawyer draw up the paperwork. You'll get your fair share of the sale, of course. Ethan, wait. But the line went dead. I stared at the phone in disbelief, my hands shaking. My mother approached cautiously. Nora, what's wrong? I looked up at her, tears welling in my eyes. He's selling our house, I whispered. He's really doing this. As my mother wrapped her arms around me, I felt the baby kick again, as if reminding me of its presence. In that moment, I realized Clara was right. I needed to be stronger than I ever thought possible. For myself and for my child. The piercing wail of my newborn daughter filled the hospital room, but instead of joy, I felt a growing sense of unease. Ethan stood by the window, his back to me, seemingly unmoved by the miracle that had just occurred. Ethan? I called out, my voice hoarse. Don't you want to hold her? He turned slowly, his face unreadable. I suppose I should, he said, approaching the bed with reluctance. As I placed our daughter in his arms, I searched his face for any sign of the love and excitement we'd once shared about becoming parents. Instead, I saw only a flicker of disappointment, before he masked it with a forced smile. She's small, he commented, handing her back to me after only a moment. Before I could respond, the door burst open, and Mr. and Mrs. Becky swept in, followed closely by Clara. Oh, let me see my grandbaby, Mrs. Becky cooed, reaching for the bundle in my arms. As soon as she peered at the infant's face, her smile faltered. Oh, it's a girl. The room fell silent. I clutched my daughter closer, feeling a surge of protectiveness. Well, Mr. Becky cleared his throat. There's always next time, eh, son? Ethan nodded, avoiding my gaze. Sure, Dad. Clara stepped forward, her eyes flashing with anger. She's beautiful, Nora. May I hold her? Grateful for the support, I handed my daughter to Clara, who cradled her with genuine affection. Have you thought of a name? Clara asked, smiling down at the baby. I was thinking Lily, I said, looking at Ethan. We'd discussed names before, but suddenly I wasn't sure of anything anymore. Ethan shrugged. Whatever you want. Mrs. Becky tsked. Lily? That's awfully common, isn't it? Surely you can think of something more distinguished. I felt tears pricking at my eyes. This wasn't how it was supposed to be. Where was the joy? The celebration? I think Lily is perfect, Clara said firmly, shooting a warning glance at her in-laws. The tension in the room was palpable. Mr. Becky cleared his throat again. Well, we should let you rest. Come along, dear, he said to his wife. As they filed out, Ethan lingered by the door. I've got some work to catch up on, he mumbled. I'll be back later. And then he was gone, leaving me alone with Clara and Lily. Oh, Nora, Clara sighed, sitting on the edge of the bed. I'm so sorry. They're just set in their ways. They'll come around. I shook my head, the tears finally spilling over. It's not just them. Did you see Ethan? It's like he doesn't even care. Clara's face softened with sympathy. He's probably just overwhelmed. Give him time. But as the days passed and we settled into life at home, Ethan remained distant. He threw himself into work, coming home late and leaving early. When he was home, he barely acknowledged Lily's presence. One evening, as I was nursing Lily in the nursery, I overheard Ethan on the phone in the hallway. He was saying, his voice low, "It's not what we hoped for. Oh, but what can I do? No, of course I'm not happy about it, but it's done now." My heart clenched. He was talking about our daughter as if she were a disappointment, a mistake. As Ethan's footsteps retreated down the hall, I looked down at Lily's peaceful face. "I won't let anyone make you feel unwanted," I whispered fiercely. "You are perfect, and you are loved." In that moment, I realized that something fundamental had shifted. The man I'd married, the future I'd envisioned, it was all slipping away. And I knew, with a clarity that both terrified and strengthened me, that I would do whatever it took to protect my daughter, even if it meant facing this new reality alone. I was folding Lily's tiny onesies when I heard the front door slam. Ethan's heavy footsteps echoed through the house, a sound that once brought comfort but now filled me with dread. "Nora!" he bellowed. "Where are you?" I set down the laundry and stepped into the hallway. "I'm here, Ethan. What's wrong?" He stormed towards me, his face flushed with anger. "What's wrong?" "I'll tell you what's wrong. I just got off the phone with our realtor." My heart sank. "Realtor? What are you talking about?" "Don't play dumb," he snapped. "I told you weeks ago I was selling the house." I felt the blood drain from my face. I thought you were joking. "Ethan, this is our home. Where are we supposed to go?" He laughed, a harsh, mirthless sound. "We? There is no we anymore, Nora. I've bought a condo downtown. I'm moving there with my parents." The room seemed to spin. "What about Lily and me?" Ethan's eyes hardened. "You can stay with your parents. Isn't that where you've been half the time anyway?" I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "Ethan, you can't do this. We have a newborn daughter. She needs her father." He turned away, his shoulders tense. "She needs a father who can provide for her, and right now I can barely provide for myself." "What are you talking about?" I asked, confusion mixing with my anger and fear. Ethan sighed, suddenly looking defeated. "I lost my job, Nora, 3 weeks ago. I've been trying to find something else, but—" I felt a flicker of sympathy, quickly extinguished by his next words. "If you'd given me a son, maybe things would be different. My father might have." "Stop right there," I interrupted, my voice shaking with rage. "Don't you dare blame our daughter for your failures." Ethan's face contorted with anger again. "My failures? You're the one who couldn't even give me a proper heir." The slap echoed in the hallway before I even realized I'd raised my hand. Ethan stared at me, shock replacing anger on his face. "Get out," I whispered, tears streaming down my face. "Get out of this house right now." He opened his mouth as if to argue, then closed it again. Without another word, he turned and walked out the front door. I sank to the floor, sobs racking my body. How had it come to this? The man I'd loved, the father of my child, had become a stranger. A soft cry from the nursery pulled me back to reality. Wiping my eyes, I stood and went to Lily. As I lifted her from her crib, I felt a surge of determination. "It's okay, sweetheart," I murmured, cradling her close. "Mommy's got you. We're gonna be okay." I pulled out my phone and dialed Clara's number with shaking fingers. "Nora? What's wrong?" Clara's concerned voice came through the speaker. "Ethan's selling the house," I said, my voice breaking. "He's kicking us out, Clara. I don't know what to do." "Oh, Nora," Clara breathed. "Listen to me. Pack a bag. You and Lily are coming to stay with us tonight. We'll figure this out together, okay?" I nodded, forgetting she couldn't see me. "Okay," I whispered. As I packed a bag for Lily and myself, my mind raced. How had my life fallen apart so quickly? Just months ago, I'd been happily married, excitedly preparing for motherhood. Now I was essentially homeless, with a newborn to care for, and a husband who'd betrayed me in the worst possible way. But as I zipped up the bag and lifted Lily into her car seat, I felt a spark of something new. Beneath the fear and heartbreak, there was a growing sense of resolve. Ethan might have given up on us, but I wouldn't. For Lily's sake and for my own, I would find a way through this. I took one last look around the house that had been my home, my sanctuary. Then, with Lily secure in my arms, I walked out the door, ready to face whatever came next. The spare room at my parents' house felt both familiar and foreign as I rocked Lily to sleep. It had been a week since Ethan's betrayal, and I was still reeling from the shock. "Nora?" My mother's soft voice came from the doorway. "Clara's here to see you." I nodded, gently placing Lily in her crib before following my mother downstairs. Clara sat at the kitchen table, her face etched with concern. "How are you holding up?" she asked as I slumped into a chair across from her. "I'm surviving," I replied, attempting a weak smile. "Have you heard from Ethan?" Clara's expression darkened. "That's actually why I'm here. Peter overheard something at work that I think you should know." My heart raced as Clara leaned in, lowering her voice. "Ethan's company is under investigation for fraud. Apparently, he made a huge error in some financial reports, and when he tried to cover it up, things spiraled out of control." The room seemed to spin. "What?" "He told me he just lost his job. I thought it was a normal layoff or something." Clara shook her head. "It's much worse than that, Nora. He could be facing criminal charges. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. Is that why he sold the house? To pay for lawyers?" "Probably," Clara nodded. "And why he's so desperate for his parents' support. They still have some connections that might help him." Suddenly, Ethan's behavior over the past months started to make a twisted kind of sense. The late nights at work, the mood swings, the growing distance between us. He'd been drowning, and instead of reaching out to me, he'd pushed me away. "I can't believe he didn't tell me," I whispered, tears welling up in my eyes. Clara reached across the table, squeezing my hand. "I'm so sorry, Nora. You don't deserve any of this." As the shock wore off, a new emotion began to simmer inside me. Anger. "No, I don't," I said, my voice stronger, "and neither does Lily." I stood up abruptly, pacing the kitchen. "He lied to me, Clara. He betrayed our family. And for what? To save his own skin?" Clara watched me, her expression a mix of sympathy and admiration. "What are you going to do?" I stopped pacing, a sense of clarity washing over me. "I'm going to protect my daughter and myself." The next morning, I found myself sitting across from a divorce lawyer, Lily sleeping peacefully in her carrier beside me. "Given the circumstances," the lawyer said, reviewing the notes I'd provided, "we have a strong case for full custody and a favorable settlement. But we need to act fast before Mr. Thompson's assets are potentially frozen due to the investigation." I nodded, a lump forming in my throat. This was really happening. I was ending my marriage. As if sensing my distress, Lily stirred in her sleep. I reached out, gently stroking her cheek, and felt my resolve strengthen. This wasn't just about me anymore. "Do it," I told the lawyer. "File the papers. I want to be done with this as soon as possible." Leaving the lawyer's office, I felt a strange mix of emotions. Grief for the life I'd thought I'd have, anger at Ethan's betrayal, fear for the uncertain future. But underneath it all, there was a growing sense of empowerment. My phone buzzed with a text from Ethan. "We need to talk. Come to the condo tonight." I stared at the message, my thumb hovering over the reply button. Part of me wanted to confront him, to demand answers for all his lies. But a stronger part knew that engaging with him now would only complicate things. Taking a deep breath, I deleted the message without responding. Then I called Clara. "It's done," I told her when she answered. "I filed for divorce." There was a moment of silence before Clara replied, her voice full of pride and support. "You're doing the right thing, Nora. You and Lily deserve so much better." As I ended the call, I looked down at my sleeping daughter. For the first time in weeks, I felt a glimmer of hope for our future. Whatever challenges lay ahead, I knew I had the strength to face them. For Lily and for myself, I would build a new life, one free from lies and betrayal. My hand trembled as I signed the last page of the divorce papers. The finality of it all hit me like a tidal wave, but I forced myself to take a deep breath. This was the right decision for Lily and me. "Are you sure about this, Nora?" my lawyer asked, her eyes searching my face for any sign of hesitation. I nodded firmly. "Absolutely, it's time to move forward." As we left the lawyer's office, I felt a strange mix of relief and anxiety. The hard part was over, or so I thought. Little did I know, the real challenge was about to begin. My phone buzzed insistently as I buckled Lily into her car seat. Ethan's name flashed on the screen, and I hesitated before answering. "Nora, what the hell have you done?" Ethan's voice was a mixture of anger and panic. What are you talking about, Ethan? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. The joint account. It's empty, he shouted. How dare you take that money? I took a deep breath, steeling myself. I didn't take anything, Ethan. I withdrew my half, which I'm entitled to. You know that. You had no right, he sputtered. I needed that money for what, Ethan? I interrupted. To pay off your legal troubles? To keep living in that fancy condo with your parents while Lily and I struggle? There was a moment of stunned silence on the other end of the line. When Ethan spoke again, his voice was low and dangerous. You'll regret this, Nora. I swear you will. The line went dead, and I slumped against the car, my heart racing. I knew Ethan would be angry, but the venom in his voice scared me. As I drove home, my mind whirled with possibilities. What if Ethan tried to take Lily? What if he contested the divorce? The thought of a prolonged legal battle made me feel sick. I pulled into my parents' driveway, relieved to see Clara's car already there. As soon as I walked in, Clara enveloped me in a hug. I came as soon as I got your message, she said. Are you okay? I shook my head, fighting back tears. Ethan called. He's furious about the money. I'm scared, Clara. What if he tries something? Clara's face hardened. We won't let him. Peter and I are here for you, no matter what. Just then, my phone buzzed again. This time, it was a text from an unknown number. You think you're so clever, don't you? Watch your back, Nora. This isn't over. I showed the message to Clara, my hands shaking. What do I do? Clara's eyes flashed with anger. We go to the police. This is harassment, Nora. You need to document everything. As we discussed our next steps, a sharp knock at the door made us both jump. My father answered it, and I heard raised voices in the hallway. Where is she? Ethan's voice boomed. Nora! Get out here now! I froze, terror gripping me. Clara squeezed my hand reassuringly before stepping into the hallway. Ethan, you need to leave, she said firmly. You're not welcome here. Stay out of this, Clara, Ethan snarled. This is between me and my wife. Ex-wife, I said, finding my voice as I stepped into view. It's over, Ethan. Go home. Ethan's face contorted with rage. You think you can just walk away? After everything I've done for you? Done for me? I laughed bitterly. You've lied to me, betrayed me, and now you're threatening me. Leave now, or I'm calling the police. For a moment, I thought Ethan might lunge at me. But then, deflating like a punctured balloon, he turned and stormed out. As the door slammed behind him, I sagged against the wall, adrenaline draining from my body. Clara and my parents gathered around me, offering comfort and support. In that moment, I knew I had a choice to make. I could let fear control me, always looking over my shoulder, or I could stand tall and fight for the future Lily and I deserved. Looking at the worried faces of my family, I made my decision. I want a restraining order, I said firmly, and I'm going to fight for full custody. No more compromises. Clara nodded approvingly. That's the Nora I know. We're with you all the way. As I held Lily close that night, I felt a newfound determination. The road ahead would be tough, but I was ready to face whatever came our way. For the first time in months, I felt truly empowered. Ethan had underestimated me for the last time. The restraining order against Ethan had given me a sense of security, but as I stood in the grocery store parking lot, staring at the bouquet of roses on my windshield, that feeling shattered. My hands shook as I plucked the card from the flowers. I'm sorry. Please, let's talk. I crumpled the card, my heart racing. How had he found me? I glanced around nervously, half expecting to see Ethan lurking nearby. As I drove home, my mind whirled. This wasn't the first time Ethan had tried to contact me since the divorce. There had been emails, voicemails, even a letter to my parents' house, but this felt different. More desperate. I pulled into the driveway, relieved to see Clara's car. She'd been staying with us more often lately, a comforting presence in the storm of my life. Nora? Clara called as I entered, her voice laced with concern. What's wrong? I wordlessly handed her the crumpled card. Her eyes widened as she read it. He's escalating, she said softly. We need to call the police. Before I could respond, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. With trembling fingers, I answered. Nora, please don't hang up. Ethan's voice was ragged, pleading. I need to see you, to explain. Ethan, you can't keep doing this, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. The restraining order. Forget the restraining order, he interrupted. I'm in trouble, Nora. Real trouble. I need your help. I felt a flicker of concern, quickly doused by anger. Your troubles aren't my problem anymore, Ethan. You made sure of that when you threw us out. It's not just about me, he insisted. It's about Lily, our daughter. Please, just meet me. One last time. The mention of Lily sent a chill down my spine. What about Lily? There was a pause. Then Ethan's voice lowered. Meet me at our old house in an hour. Come alone. I'll explain everything. The line went dead. I stared at the phone, my mind reeling. Nora, what is it? Clara asked, her face etched with worry. I recounted the conversation, watching Clara's expression darken. You can't go, she said firmly. It's too dangerous. Let me call Peter. He can... No, I interrupted, surprising myself with my resolve. I need to do this. For Lily. Clara argued, but I stood firm. An hour later, I found myself pulling up to the house that had once been my home. The sold sign in the yard felt like a final twist of the knife. Ethan was waiting on the porch, looking haggard and unkempt. As I approached, I noticed his hands fidgeting nervously. Thank you for coming, he said, his voice hoarse. I didn't think you would. Make it quick, Ethan, I replied coldly. What's this about? He took a deep breath. I'm leaving the country tonight, and I want to take Lily with me. The world seemed to tilt on its axis. What? I gasped. You can't be serious. I have no choice, he said, his eyes wild. The investigation, the charges, I can't face it, but I can't leave my daughter behind. Our daughter, I corrected, anger rising. And you're out of your mind if you think I'd let you take her. Ethan's face hardened. I wasn't asking permission, Nora. I'm telling you what's going to happen. As the implications of his words sank in, I felt a surge of terror and rage. This man, who had once been my partner, my love, was threatening to steal my child. Over my dead body, I hissed, backing away. Ethan's hand shot out, gripping my arm. Don't make this harder than it has to be. In that moment, staring into the desperate eyes of the man I once thought I knew, I realized the true depth of the danger I was in. This wasn't just about divorce or money anymore. This was a fight for my daughter's future, and possibly for our very lives. As Ethan's grip tightened, I knew I had to make a choice. Submit to his demands, or fight with everything I had. The decision, I realized, had already been made the moment he threatened Lily. I took a deep breath, steeling myself for the battle ahead. Whatever it took, I would protect my daughter, even if it meant facing my worst fears head-on. My heart pounded as I wrenched my arm from Ethan's grip. Don't touch me, I hissed, backing away. Ethan's eyes flashed dangerously. You're not leaving, Nora. Not until we settle this. I fumbled for my phone, but Ethan was faster. He snatched it from my hand, tossing it into the overgrown grass. No one's coming to help you, he sneered. It's just you and me now. Panic rose in my throat, but I forced it down. I needed to stay calm, to think. Ethan, please, I said, trying to reason with him. Think about what you're doing. Kidnapping Lily won't solve anything. He laughed bitterly. Kidnapping? She's my daughter too, Nora. I have every right. Just you lost that right when you abandoned us, I shouted, my fear turning to anger. Where were you when she was born? When she was sick? When she took her first steps? Ethan's face contorted with rage. He lunged forward, grabbing my shoulders and shaking me. You took everything from me, he roared. My money, my home, my daughter. Let her go. A familiar voice cut through the air like a whip. We both turned to see Clara standing at the edge of the yard, her phone in hand. The police are on their way, Ethan, she said, her voice steady despite the fear in her eyes. It's over. Ethan's grip on me loosened, and I seized the opportunity to break free. I ran towards Clara, relief flooding through me. But Ethan wasn't done. With a roar of frustration, he charged after me. I felt his hand close around my ankle, and I went down hard on the gravel driveway. Pain exploded in my palms and knees, but adrenaline kept me moving. I kicked out, connecting with something solid. Ethan's grip loosened, and I scrambled to my feet. Clara was there in an instant, pulling me behind her. Stay back, Ethan, she warned. Don't make this worse than it already is. Ethan stood, his chest heaving. For a moment, I thought he might attack again. But then the fight seemed to drain out of him. He slumped to the ground, burying his face in his hands. I just wanted to see my daughter, he mumbled. To hold her one last time before... Before what, Ethan? I asked, my voice shaking. Before you disappeared with her? Tore her away from everything she knows? He looked up at me, his eyes red-rimmed. I'm ruined, Nora. The investigation, the charges. I'll go to prison. I can't face that. For a moment I felt a flicker of pity, but then I remembered everything he'd put me through, everything he'd threatened to do to Lily. That's not my problem anymore, I said firmly. You made your choices, Ethan. Now you have to live with them. The wail of police sirens filled the air. Ethan's shoulders sagged in defeat. As the police cars pulled up, Clara turned to me. Are you okay? She asked, her eyes scanning me for injuries. I nodded, suddenly exhausted. How did you know to come? Clara smiled wryly. You really think I'd let you face him alone? I followed you. Called Peter for backup, too. He's at your parents' house with Lily. Tears of gratitude welled in my eyes. Thank you, I whispered. As the police led Ethan away in handcuffs, I felt a strange mix of emotions. Relief, certainly, but also sadness for the man Ethan used to be, and anger at what he'd become. Clara squeezed my hand. It's over, Nora. You're safe now. Lily's safe. But as I watched Ethan being placed in the back of a police car, I couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't truly over. The threat might be gone, but the scars remained. I turned to Clara, suddenly desperate to see my daughter. Can we go home now? I need to hold Lily. Clara nodded, understanding in her eyes. Of course, let's go home. As we drove away from the scene of my final confrontation with Ethan, I felt a weight lifting from my shoulders. The road ahead was still uncertain, but for the first time in months I felt hope for the future. A future where Lily and I were safe, surrounded by people who truly loved us. But as relief washed over me, a new worry crept in. What would I tell Lily when she was old enough to ask about her father? How could I explain the choices he'd made, the pain he'd caused? These were questions for another day, I decided. For now, I just wanted to hold my daughter close and be grateful for the family I still had. 6 months after Ethan's arrest, I sat across from Clara in a quaint cafe, Lily cooing softly in her stroller beside me. The aroma of fresh coffee filled the air, a stark contrast to the heaviness of our conversation. I can't believe the trial is finally over, I sighed, stirring my latte absently. Clara nodded, her eyes full of sympathy. How are you holding up? I paused, considering the question. Honestly, I'm relieved. Seeing Ethan sentenced, it's like a weight has been lifted. I can imagine, Clara said softly. She hesitated, then added, There's something I need to tell you, Nora. About Peter and me. I leaned forward, curiosity piqued. What is it? Clara took a deep breath. We're moving. To the countryside, actually. Peter's been offered a job there, and, well, after everything that's happened with his parents, we think it's best to get a fresh start. I felt a pang of sadness at the thought of Clara leaving, but I understood. I'm happy for you, Clara. Really, you deserve some peace after everything you've been through. Clara reached across the table, squeezing my hand. That's the thing, Nora. We want you and Lily to come with us. I blinked, stunned. What? Peter and I have been talking, Clara continued, her eyes shining with excitement. There's a beautiful little house for sale near ours. It would be perfect for you and Lily. You could start your own business like you've always wanted, and we'd be right there to help with Lily. My mind raced with possibilities. A fresh start, away from the painful memories of the past year. A chance to build a new life for Lily and me. But what about your parents-in-law? I asked, remembering the tension between Clara and Mr. and Mrs. Becky. Clara's expression hardened slightly. Peter finally stood up to them, told them if they couldn't accept me, or you and Lily, then they weren't welcome in our lives anymore. I felt a surge of admiration for Peter. Wow, that must have been difficult for him. Clara nodded. It was, but he said it was long overdue. After seeing how Ethan treated you, how his parents enabled it, he couldn't stay silent anymore. As Clara spoke, I felt something shift inside me. The last remnants of fear and doubt began to melt away, replaced by a growing sense of hope and possibility. So, what do you say? Clara asked, her eyes searching mine. Ready for a new adventure? I looked down at Lily, peacefully sleeping now. I thought about the life I wanted for her, one filled with love, support, and endless possibilities. I thought about the woman I wanted to be, strong, independent, unafraid to chase her dreams. In that moment, I made my decision. Yes, I said, a smile spreading across my face. Yes, I think we are. Clara's face lit up with joy. We spent the next hour excitedly discussing plans, the move, my business ideas, our new life in the countryside. As we left the cafe, I felt a sense of peace wash over me. The past year had been the hardest of my life, filled with betrayal, fear, and heartbreak. But it had also shown me my own strength, the power of true friendship, and the unbreakable bond between a mother and her child. I looked down at Lily, now awake and gurgling happily. What do you think, sweetheart? I cooed. Ready for our next big adventure? Lily responded with a toothless grin, her tiny hand reaching up to grasp my finger. In that moment, I knew with absolute certainty that we would be okay. More than okay, we would thrive. As Clara and I walked down the street planning our future, I felt a lightness in my step that had been missing for far too long. The road ahead might not always be easy, but I was ready to face whatever came our way. Ethan and the pain he'd caused were now firmly in the past. The future, bright, full of promise, and brimming with love, lay ahead. And for the first time in a long time, I couldn't wait to see what it held. With Lily in my arms and Clara by my side, I stepped forward into our new life, ready to embrace whatever joys and challenges awaited us. The worst was behind us now. The best, I was certain, was yet to come.